How's it going, guys? So this week on the Phantom Cave YouTube channel, we're going to be having a look at the new giant-sized Phantom magazine. So we've got issue number 18 right here, right now. And look at it. Look at this magnificent cover done by the good old Glenn Lumsden. Well, Glenn Lumsden, as most of you would know, does a lot of the covers for the giant-sized Phantom magazines and comics, but this one, it is sublime. It is one of my favorites of the series, and soon on the channel we will be having a look at part 2 of featuring the character called the Shadow. It's coming out in a couple of weeks, and let's get into the comic. So, first comic is part 1 of part 3 of Judgment Day. This is the concluding, basically it is the concluding story of the Scorpio series, the Scorpio saga that we saw, that I think was run back in the earlier sort of issues and still is done by Shane Foley, which he's been doing an amazing job on this series. When the first actual issue actually came out, I was very excited. Like, I saw it on the back cover of one of the earlier issues of the giant-sized Phantom series, and I was very, very excited. Me being my younger self, only a couple of years younger than what I am right now, but I was very excited because there's new stories coming, and why wouldn't you be excited? So we see, as we've seen, that all three of the old princes doing what they need to do. This one right here, that I can't remember what their name is called. Prince Raymond. That's it. So this Prince Raymond, he could have, like, we saw all these three people, we saw all these three princes doing very, well, you'd say, conspicuous things that were happening in the world in the Phantom universe. And not only have we seen the princes, well, have their own sort of stuff, their own thing going on, we also saw the Queen of Sassamore, which I think we just ripped the page, but anyways, which is this one right here. She featured, well, it also is that this person here, she featured in a old sort of daily or Sunday story back in the 1950s, and I'm pretty sure it's the 1950s, but anyways, she makes her debut in this series, and I'd just like to say, as I've said many times today, it is a great series. If you have not checked out the giant-sized Phantom series as of yet, you can always either subscribe to the few publication subscription on their website, or you can basically buy the comics if you have them at a news agency. If your news agency keeps them, they're a great sense of entertainment. And right now we're seeing the Queen of Sassamore, Sazamore, being basically taken away and basically being charged with all these offences or something. The Phantom then goes on a lookabout to then try and capture one of the princes, because as we remember in the last couple of issues, the organisation that had been trying to basically find where these princes were, find the person that is basically orchestrating the mission and the organisation and everything tied towards what these three princes have been doing. We finally find out that, well, I think in the last issue that this saga actually came in, I think we actually found out that who they were. It was like, I would say a very shocking moment, because you basically didn't know who was orchestrating this thing. The detectives didn't even know who was orchestrating the thing. And there we have it. One of the princes, he's in a secluded sort of room, as you would say, and he's basically watching the whole thing go down. And I think for the first time, this saga had been published by a few publications, and again, great job, Shane Foley, and few publications for this story and the art. We saw what? We saw all the original few publications characters. We saw the Phantom, including Catman, Phantom Ranger, the Shadow, and I think Planet Man, somewhere along the lines, and a lot of other characters. So it was great that we actually got to see it. It was great that we still be able to read it if you've been collecting the series. And yeah. So the Shadow, he finally finds out, or no, the Phantom is basically on the trail of one of the princes. One of the princes gets taken away. The Queen gets taken away for getting charged by the police, a organisation called, I think, the police or something. One of the evilest princes in this saga is actually on the run. The Phantom, in the later stages, they basically find where the princes are. They find where the guy is basically watching the whole thing go down. He gets, I think, pepper sprayed or something. And the second prince gets taken in. The third prince basically is getting shocked out of his skin. He gets taken down. The Phantom and Shadow basically get rewarded, or what you'd say congratulated, for helping the so-called police do their work. And there we have it. So also, if you have not bought the Phantom Messenger bag, you can get it for $60, including shipping, Australia Post only. And you can either get it at their website at phantomcomic.com.au or phone 02 9261 8122. Now, the next story is the Phantom Ranger. It's from, I think, issue 51. I quite enjoyed this story. We have it's basically a Phantom Ranger. This story is set in where the Civil War of America was going on in those times, and basically the Phantom Ranger helps all these the women and the children of the town basically fight off these so-called Civil War people. So then the Phantom Ranger helps them, and while the men are away doing their wartime and all that sort of stuff, Phantom Ranger basically helps the women from getting taken over by soldiers, basically. And the soldiers in this story are just basically trying to get a gold shipment that came in, I think, a day or two ago, before or after the people had actually after the soldier people had actually basically left. That's basically what the story is. Phantom Ranger wraps it all up, but it's not just the Phantom Ranger, it's also the women that actually wrap it up as well. So yeah, that's basically what the story is about. And then at the end of the story, we see one of the main soldier sort of people take off with one of the women Phantom Ranger hunts him down and stops him. And when the soldier tries to basically take the Phantom Ranger's horse, the horse basically reacts and says, "Nope, I'm not taking it today, mate. I'm just going to piggyback you onto the ground." And the Phantom Ranger basically saves the day. And not only did the Phantom Ranger save the day in this story, it's also that the women saved themselves, basically. And then when the men come home from the war, basically, for their part-time in the war, then the women then have to basically tell the long story of how they defeated these so-called soldiers that were trying to rob their town. Okay, the next one. So we've got Sir Falcon. I know we've got Sir Falcon number 39, issue number 39. Yes. So this story, I've said in the last few reviews of this series, like the Giant Size Phantom series, I've said, like, in the last couple of reviews where I've reviewed like a Giant Size Phantom series, and I've basically said, like, the artwork, I wasn't liking the artwork. Now I won't be taking that back, and yeah, I'm like, I feel like if you look at, say, like, I think Giant Size Phantom number 17 and I think number 16 or something like that, you look at the pages where if Sir Falcon is... You look at the pages where Sir Falcon is basically in the pages and the artwork. I felt like the artwork doesn't actually it didn't actually basically complement the story. Now this contradicts what I've always said about this run of the Sir Falcon the last couple of issues. The artwork, it's good. I'll say it's good. The story, yeah, it's a pretty good story, but the artwork actually lives up to its tale. Because I feel like if you've got an artwork that doesn't really complement the story, then why have you drawn the piece? Why have you drawn the artwork? But this artwork, it comes in hand, and I quite enjoyed the story. Now, I feel like when we have a look at these sort of artworks by, I think it was by Kik Hefla or something like that, I feel like when you have a look at this and you compare it to the earlier Sir Falcon, I feel like the earlier Sir Falcon sort of... I feel like the earlier Sir Falcon actually wins, sorta. But this issue of Sir Falcon, I enjoyed, but the other two before it, no, I did not enjoy. Only because of the artwork. But this story, it sort of had like a 1930s, 1940s gangster film noir sort of style around it. I reckon it was good. I do reckon it was good. Now the story, basically, the Sir Falcon, he is basically gets help from another person. He comes to this town where there's already been one murder, and I think there's already been two murders during the story. This is because of gold rush, someone getting greedy and wanting to get other person's golds, or like gold or something. So yeah, and then that leads to murder. There was an attempted murder, but the doctor actually saves him. They go to a party, which we finally find out. They go to a charity ball, which Sir Falcon, in the last couple of pages, he painted, say, this green sort of ink on the bags of gold. So, for who had actually touched that bag of gold would have green hands, would have green palms, wouldn't it? So they find the person who did it. He tries to walk away. He tries to get away, and then the Sir Falcon and his associates basically tell the ranger or the police officer what had happened, and the guy gets his gold back, and everyone lives happy after. And Sir Falcon leaves. So we have the Shadow, one of my absolute favourite characters, number 61. I'm loving these Shadow episodes. Like, I know I've said it many times, but he's one of my favourite characters. So this story, I'll just hang up a second before I talk about this story. This story was actually, I noticed when I was reading it, like last week or something, I noticed with this story that this story was actually published a few issues ago by a few publications. So that's a good point to point out with this one. The way you can recognize that is at the end of the story, we have this big tough guy. He gets basically, the Shadow basically gets, you'd say, ratted out and basically gets captured. He escapes and then gives these secret papers away. So then he gets those papers back. He gets basically, what's the word for it? He gets, this person right here, this lady right here, the Shadow basically thinks that this lady is a good person. She turns out to be not a great person, and the Shadow then hands over the papers, basically. And the Shadow is then captured. The Shadow gets away. Shadow, thinking that the papers are genuine, gets them, and the Shadow escapes. The Shadow makes it out over the American lines with the general. The general confesses and gets charged for war crimes. And the Shadow, Jimmy Gray, he basically hands over the papers, but then they realise there's nothing actually there. It's just a decoy. So then we see the Shadow pulls out something from under the cigarette box and hands over the real papers. So yeah, it's a great story to read if you haven't read it, but it's already been published by a few publications in the last couple of issues. Okay, so we have our ads. So mini portfolio number 2, which I actually have, and you can usually see it up on the back of the room when I'm facing the camera. You can get that mini portfolio issue number 2 on sale for $40, I'm guessing, because of Christmas is coming up. Reprinting Glenn Lubston's amazing covers for Giant Size Phantoms number 1 to 8 minus number 5, all on A3 deluxe stock. Comes with an extra signed print made especially for this series. Order from few now at phantomcomic.com.au. Also out now is the Kid Phantom number 10, the final issue of this series. I enjoyed this series. A lot of people have a lot of, what's the word for it? A lot of people have a lot of nasty feelings about this series, and you can get that issue at phantomcomic.com.au and at kidphantom.com.au, but those two websites are the same. Now, the last ad we've got on today is if you have not played the Phantom board game, The Treasures of Dracon is officially a board game. You can get it from phantomcomic.com.au for $135, including postage, and you can scan the new QR code for gameplay video link. So if you would like to subscribe to the Phantom Cave YouTube channel, you can do so by subscribing, like, share, comment, and as always, keep Phantom Caving, and we